If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
Yes. Here we are on a birthday stream for the big homie
sir.
Neil.
Yes, sir. We
spelt his name right, inshallah, this time.
Was it IEL the other time?
Yep.
People are never satisfied.
Seriously, Neil, I checked so many times when I was doing your stuff to make sure it was spelled correctly. Anyway, so up next is the song Vehemence, She Never Noticed Me. Vehemence is an American metal band that mixes melodic death metal with brutal death metal elements. This song I selected is the second track from their concept record, God Was Created, which explores the mind and motivation of a twisted individual. The lyrical content was definitely meant to shock.
All right. Well, then I am going to put on my big boy pants and not be shocked, bitches. Here we go. She never noticed
Not me.
me.
Let me be shocked. I want to be shocked.
She never noticed me.
Staring blankly at the floor, my thoughts turn to her.
God. Oh boy. I'll tell you, song number 3 and 4 don't get much better on that album. That's crazy.
Or 7, 8, 9, or 10. I don't think that this is a. I don't think this is tongue in cheek at all.
No, I don't think so either.
I don't think it's tongue in cheek at all. I don't. Do I think that somebody's gonna listen to the song and go, "Oh, I'm gonna go out and stalk and kill a girl"? No, because people don't need reasons.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
But I think it's like an attempt maybe to defend the band by saying, "Oh, it's tongue in cheek." But
Oh.
I mean, this is a constant theme in metal, though, where you stalk the girl and kill her because she doesn't want to be with you.
Yeah,
mean, you
it's
got
true. It does. Yeah, it has
Slipknot,
popped off.
prosthetic song, you'll be mine, you know, whatever. What's that song? This was a debate you and I had.
Don't go after typo.
No, it wasn't Type O. It was another Slipknot. There was a big one though. I won't let this build up inside of me, whatever.
Yeah, I can't remember the name
But he
of
was
it.
stalking her and all that.
It has
and,
come up a couple of times. Yeah.
and so
Sadie.
I don't think that I don't think that song either is him just kidding.
Yeah.
I think art gives you a place to explore places in your psyche that you normally wouldn't say.
Yep.
Or that you wouldn't do. Most of us wouldn't do in the real world. But there's obviously a part in the male psyche in our, at least in modern times, I just think overall, that has a very difficult time with dealing with that kind of rejection. And the mixture of lust, attraction, love, and resentment,
Ew.
and the inherent physicality of the relationship between men and women and what happens when that goes south is being expressed here.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, from ancient times, this has been a thing where the girl, and you see it in the animal kingdom, and I suppose if you have the
Centennial,
ideology,
if you're talking about the topic that we are, please chill, because that's just
who said that?
the Centennial. I mean, obviously this topic, there's a bunch of females in this room, and a lot of us have experienced different degrees of trauma in regards to men and their ideas of what they deserve. So, you know, even if a joke like that, I don't think is appropriate.
Well, goth mama will handle anybody that makes any crazy jokes about that.
Okay, so
But yeah, like I mean, we have situations like that in the Bible with this guy Amnon,
Right.
where he's massively attracted to his half sister, and I mean, he doesn't last and so he violates his sister, and he doesn't last very long in the story
no.
because the brother finds out about it, and the brother says, "Relax, I got it." And then the father, you know, David, who should have brought justice to the situation,
Probably Franco.
because, you know, it was because he had multiple wives, and so all the kids were his. And one of his sons rapes his half sister, which is his daughter, and David does nothing about it. He does nothing. He says he does nothing.
Yeah.
So the brother of the violated girl goes, "Okay, that's cool," and he invites all the brothers to a feast, and then he just murders this dude in front of everybody, like in broad daylight. Like, okay, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
But what was interesting is the insight in which the narrator says after he assaults his sister, he says the love that he had for her became hatred. Just as much as he loved her, he hated her after that.
That was like part of the scariest part for me.
And so this is there.
When I
Like
was a
you
kid
had
and I read it.
in a lot of male psychology, this is there. That repressed feeling of lust, attraction, and then simultaneous, aggression and resentment, and sex is a physical act. A lot of these guys can't parse the difference between that kind of physicality and taking it that next step. So, that's a real thing, man. It's one of the reasons why, like, the Bible's so crazy to me, because it's just like the shit about human nature that people won't say. Like, it'll say it. Like,
Yeah.
just like he loved her, he hated her. And there's a lot of dudes like that, man. That's why, a lot of times that I'm like seeing dudes like defend pornography and like, oh, women's rights. I'm like, yeah, man. Yeah, right. Because, like, it's there. You know what I'm saying? And like, there's that simultaneous attraction / resentment type shit dynamic that's going on. And that's why, and it was funny, like when Jenna Jameson was talking about this, she posted on Twitter, it came out that one of these girls had actually been a victim of trafficking, and it came out that she was underage. And Jenna Jameson posted the comments.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Even after it came out.
It was horrible.
And I'm like, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. If you're spending all your time imbibing that shit.
I was surprised.
If you are spending a bunch of time imbibing that shit and watching women get violated, you're not gonna all of a sudden go, holy shit, this is terrible. We should be worried about. Please. Like, let's be real about it. That's why, like I said, I don't believe all dudes who watch that stuff are that way, but there's definitely a deep, deep resentment for those women. And there's a deep animosity it's like when we saw Hot Girls Wanted.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how now the porn has metastasized to where, like, you have to take part in all this violent, crazy shit that's you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like all this weird.
Yeah. Like a lot of the girls went into it because they were like, oh, okay, I'm really beautiful, and they wanted to kind of fast track their journey to fame, and they don't get famous. They just get used and abused, and then either they end up leaving or the numbers dwindle for their popularity, and then they're gone. So but then once they've already done that, now, like, this girl was trying to live like a regular life after, but then, she's at a party with friends and people are like, hey, let's pull up one of your videos. It's like, wait a minute. And a lot of times these girls, they don't have the choice of what videos they're going to take part in, because if they refuse a video, then they won't get called back, and they'll call back the newer recruits that will be willing to do anything. And the stuff that they were having these girls do was absolutely horrific. Literally makes me sick. I just had no idea that sort of stuff was out there, and that there's an audience for that.
They're
was
saying
terrifying.
that's becoming the norm, what girls have to do at the entry level now.
Yeah.
So the shit that the Overton window has shifted to where the shit that was extreme before is common now. So so my point is, like, when I see art like this, and obviously me, guys, backstory wise, you can check out the full episode on Misery Machine, but I've worked with two girls that had been stalked, basically, violated and then murdered. One of them, that exactly happened to her. The other one was in sex work, and both of them didn't make it out alive. So when I see a song like this,
one of them was pregnant too.
Yeah, one of them was pregnant. Yeah, and he. Yeah. So when I see a song like this, I don't go, "Oh, this is tongue in cheek." Like, and I'm not mad at the band either, because the point of art is to display human nature, and I'm not naive to human nature. This is human beings, and when you have cultures where dudes are allowed to excrete all of their sexual desires on an infinite loop, and their brains get literally rewired to where they need more and more and more extremity, I don't look at this as, oh my God, this is tongue in cheek. This is seething underneath that industry.
Yeah.
And of course, I've got family members who work in high divisions of law enforcement, and this is across the board. And that's why they were saying you get 14 states, including a mega blue state like an ocean blue state like Minnesota, that declared pornography addiction a public health crisis. Those are facts.
Yep.
So I'm not angry.
Yeah, we looked through the next few songs. It gets pretty crazy.
Yeah. I'm not angry at all at the musicians in the sense that, oh my God, they're purposely trying to offend me or whatever. I think this is deeply rooted, especially in the modern Western male psyche.
Yeah.
And of course, go ahead. What were you saying?
It was even more difficult because, like, she was already being abused, and like he went straight from like that. Sometimes he notices like her bruises, but then it went right on to his lust, and then like the idea that someone is already being used and abused by someone else, and it was her father, and instead of protecting that person to be like, well, let me take it further. It's just, holy moly, like that's super, super painful. Wow.
Yeah. And I have to point out how this entire, I'm sorry to give out spoilers, but basically he kills a lot more people. I think he kills everybody in the room. I don't know, like whatever.
Killed the dad, and he killed her, and
kills the dad, kills her.
Supposedly she was
he
glad
kills
to be
himself
killed.
as well, I think. And then this is how the record ends, and I have to point this out. The story is the last fantasy of Christ, magical power that never existed. He was a man just like any other. His story is blown out of proportion. I did kill her. He never did a thing. Christ, I hate you. The Lord's work. God was created. I don't believe all their lies. The Lord's work. So it begs the question. This teenager is completely disillusioned with Christianity specifically. And he buys the lie, which obviously, from our vantage point, we're going to say it's a lie, that God was made up, and it was all a lie, and we're all floating around in an empty universe, and he's dust, and he's going to go back to being dust, and so is she, and there's no inherent transcendent value, and all the value that you assign to everybody that you love is simply fiction. On what basis? Please put on your thinking hats. And every time I ask this question, people get offended. And then they always misconstrue the question. On what basis can you ground the idea that what he did was objectively wrong? You can say, well, it's common sense. Don't hurt people. Treat people like you want to be treated. On what basis? You believe that. This kid doesn't believe that, though. There's no... the way that I have this conversation is, you and I are playing basketball. LeBron James is one of the most powerful people in America, not just the NBA, in the world, because of his capital and all the rest of it. And yet, there's some 5'5" guy, less than half of his side, who can tell LeBron, you're wrong. And that's because there's rules to basketball.
You're echoing?
So, this freaking Mike. The player in the game, but he's beholden to the rules of the game, so that somebody much smaller than him can tell him, listen, Mr. Multi-Billionaire, you're wrong. On what basis? These are the rules. There's an objective standard for how basketball is played. Wouldn't it be convenient if all the basketball players got together and says, there is no such thing as Naismith, there are no rules, we make them up as we go along? Well, then you would never be able to tell LeBron that he's wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Because he's going to be the most athletic guy on the court, so he's going to be, on what basis could you ever tell him he's wrong? There's no objective standard by which to judge. So the question is, there's no God. How do you come up with an objective standard that everybody is beholden to, and where do you get the value So if you shoot the ball in from, I think it's 26 feet away, you get 3 points. If you shoot the ball in from 15 feet away, you get 2 points. If you shoot the ball at a free throw, you get 1 point. That's an assignment of value. Where do you get the assignment of value in a godless universe? You say, well, we make it up. We subjectively assign it to one another. Great, but what if my subjective assignment is different from yours? Who gets to call that play? The person with the most guns or the most strength or the whatever. So this guy, this is why I said, like, this is not a tongue-in-cheek song for me, and that's why I looked at the rest of the record, because he said it was a concept record, and I go, okay. I look at the concept record, and how does the record end? Well, God is made up, Christ is a liar, it's all blown out of proportion. Great, and everybody's dead.
Yep.
And
Yep.
there's no way to objectively say that's wrong. You can't.
Right.
I mean, I've been in these debates. I mean, I've been in literally hundreds of them. And the most sophisticated ones, like Bertrand Russell and the rest of them, will say, well, yeah, I mean.
Man, jeez.
You know, you come up with a utilitarian type of thing where you say, well, look, in order for all of us to live together, we do have to come up with these rules and subjectively agree with them. Right? And that's the best that you can do. But you can't say objectively that what that guy did to that girl violating her is wrong. We can say it because we can say the girl is created in the image and likeness of God. She's crowned with glory and honor. There's never been one like her before or since. And she's infinitely valuable. And we should treat her as if she was God on the earth. And that's why such a violation is horrible. And that's why you shouldn't kill yourself, by the way, because you're infinitely valuable. You'll be robbing the world of yourself. When Neil was born today, you know, Piper says God's always doing 10,000 things at once, right? One of the 10 million reasons that Neil was born today, well, of course, we give him gifts on his birthday. But Neil is a gift to the world. God's like, you want to know what I'm like? Okay, I'll give you Neil. And Neil is going to reflect God, and he'll come on here soon. Neil is gonna. He's not a Christian. I'm pretty sure he's not. Neil's gonna reflect. Doesn't need to be. Neil's gonna reflect God in a way that nobody else has or ever will. And because of that, he's infinitely valuable and should be protected. But if you don't have a system where objectively outside, I'm talking about something outside of all of us. You don't have a system where that can work. I'm sorry. There's no way to argue this guy out of blowing his brains out, and destroying everybody around him. And then treating, because this guy can say, listen, I'm an animal, and go watch the Discovery Channel. There are lots of animals. When it's mating season, that's it. Sorry. So I'm not saying that if you're an atheist or whatever, that you are automatically amoral. That's not what I'm saying. My argument is actually the opposite. Most of the atheists I've ever ran into are massively moral. The question is, what is your philosophical objective grounding for that morality? That's the issue. It's not that, oh, you're an atheist, that means you're a horrible person. No. The question is, you're an atheist, but you're an amazing person. What is the objective ground of that? And if you say the golden rule, what's the objective grounding for the golden rule? So I was very disturbed by the song.
Yeah.
I don't feel the need to defend the artist and say,
it was tongue-in-cheek.
that it's tongue-in-cheek. I think this guy or these guys are working something out deep within their psyche, and I give them credit for that. I'll never listen to the song again.
Yeah.
Sonically, it was beautiful. The combination of, usually you'll hear heaviness, but you won't hear like mixed with pretty music, but you won't hear like acoustic.
Yeah.
Like they really featured the acoustic back and forth.
Yeah, I think that they did that to, like, you understood like the evil of him, but the beauty of her and the simplicity of her.
Yeah, so I commend them for being brave enough to show this part of their psyche, because Vermilion was the Slipknot songs, which of course Corey was a lot more indirect in whatever, but I commend them for. I think what's hyperbolic is the fact that they wouldn't do this. I think there's enough grace in their hearts to where they wouldn't do this. The band, but I do think it is part of the deep recesses of a lot of dudes' psyches.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
I do believe that.
Yeah.
So, that's
It was a really tough listen.
It was a very tough listen, and it was actually made tougher by how beautiful the strings were for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, this would have been a playlist song for me, but obviously,
Yeah.
as a person who has lost people that I saw every day due to this mentality, it's obviously not something I'm gonna,
Yeah.
it's a silent count for me.
Obviously, for me as well.
But I don't think that the band members are horrible, and I don't think people who enjoy this music are horrible people, or more horrible or more sinful than if they didn't listen to this song. I think people are trying to work out darkness within their psyche, and there is a, I was just listening to this thing about Jung where it was talking about confronting your shadow and observing it without judgment, and I think that that's that's good advice. And so if this song or this album can help people do that, I think that in that sense it could be very, very positive. Because look, you could go one of two ways with this song. You can dwell on this shit and be like, yeah, I'm going to be crazy and horrible or whatever, but that means you're already on that path anyway. Or you can dwell on the lyrics and say, okay, this is in me, this is part of my shadow.
Yeah.
And observe that and work on healing that and reintegrating yourself, as Jung would say. So
Yeah, I think it's like,
that's where I'm at.
And I hear what you're saying. I think it's a very hard song. I mean, like even some of the girls were saying that they were leaving the chat, leaving the stream because it was just too difficult. And I think that when you're a woman and you hear this song, you're going to feel it differently than a man is going to feel it, because you're going to feel like the woman in the song, and the sort of objectification that a woman lives day in and day out with, that a man doesn't realize what that's like. They don't know what it's like to go every time that you go out in public or whatever. You don't necessarily feel safe everywhere you go, or people are looking at you, and you can't go out wearing certain outfits without getting more attention than what you wanted. Like, I think everybody wants to feel beautiful and wants to be told that they're beautiful, but we don't want to be objectified and looked at like that's all we're there for, or that the person, if they had the power to, would harm us. And I think that a lot of women have lived their lives under the thumb of that oppression of someone else's freedom. They allow their thoughts to go very far and to go very deep and to go very dark, and that inevitably has impacts in the real world. And regardless, I mean, that's I think that if you can become a safe old man, you have to have a lifetime of making yourself to be that person. Otherwise, you're going to become that dirty old man that people are like, ooh, that's that dirty old man, And I think that it feels like the majority of men are not safe. It feels like the majority of men don't care to give women the sort of respect that we should be given, because of the ubiquitous of them, the way that they are when women go out in public. And I just, also a lot of women have suffered sexual assault and sexual abuse, and like when you tell the story of that biblical story, and like I can see in your face, you're like, that brother got vengeance on that man. And like, I think you're coming from the brother's perspective and you want to be able to do something, but I'm coming from the woman's perspective and I'm saying, right, but she has to live the rest of her life that way. And she was in the ancient Near East, and she probably was never able to get married after that. She was probably looked at as used goods after that. Like, who knows what happened to her and how she had to live the rest of her life.
Said she was destitute the rest of her life.
And that's what bothers me.
Yeah.
So, the brother was able to get vengeance and he was able to feel better, but she had to live out her life like that. And there's a lot of women that have to live out their lives.
Well, it doesn't say he felt better. He clearly had resentment to his father for the rest of his life.
Yes, but he was able to do something. Yeah. A lot of times a woman can't do something. And when
Right.
she tries to do something, the courts shut her down and people shut her down and her voice never gets heard. And the man is able to go out on his merry way with his assaulting self and hurt more women. And that is a really, really horrible, horrible thing. So, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, as to Neil's point, she was I mean, she wasn't safe in her own
home.
You know, she was
I
at
didn't
minimum physically
understand what was
abused.
happening when he was saying. I thought it was like typo. You remember like the cross one where she was like doing stuff with the crucifix?
She had a bloody nose, you know, like she had a beat up lip. Remember when he said
Yes, I heard that part of it, but I didn't know if like she was like maybe she was in an abusive situation, but then when she got alone, she was like soothing herself and she's looking at the picture of Jesus. Then I realized that the father was in there. It's just a horrible, horrible story.
yeah.
But I think that your point is well taken, that sort of mindset leaves the whole world dead.
What mindset?
The mindset that got, you know, if you just look at people as animals and they don't have any value and, you know, then there's no
Yeah.
way that you can say, no, that's wrong and why you shouldn't do that and stuff. So, you know, everybody just goes about, and then it's really the strong survive and the strong can do what they want to the weaker. And that really takes away, because part of the beauty of a woman is that she is weaker than a man, and that should be celebrated and protected, not taken advantage of. It's a weak and cowardly person that would take advantage of someone weaker than them.
Yeah.
But like I was talking to my friend that is going through this situation, and you know, the courts are not standing behind. Nothing is going well. This person should, honestly, in my opinion, should be dead for what he did. But he's not, and he's able to continue on living his life. There's nothing on his record, nothing. Even though there's evidence and all kinds of stuff, it doesn't really matter. But you know, we always say that part of injustice is just being that water against the mountain that kind of beats it down and breaks it down, that over time is going to be overcome. And so when we speak out against it and we say these things are wrong and we speak out for justice for women and stuff like that, then that we're doing everything that we can. You know, obviously we can't change that system overnight. We're surrounded an entire system of it. So, so shout out to all my sisters who have been through horrible things and have not just survived, but continue to live and do what they can to stop that injustice. And also for my brothers who speak out against it and, you know, openly say how wrong it is. And like, that's one of the reasons why I fell in love with you, is because you were so, like, on the side of justice, and not like, even like at the beginning of the song when he like noticed that her skirt was a little high on her thigh, I'm like, ooh, like maybe this is going to be a little bit interesting. But then it like went really dark, and you were like, right off the bat, you had that look on your face like, this is not good. And like I love that about you, and you've always been like that, and you're not going to be a dirty old man. You're a very trustable person, and I know that anybody that's around you is safe, and that's commendable, and I hope that more people take that path.
Well, I mean, my most obvious shadow is my propensity to towards violence to solve problems. So, I'm safe in certain situations. But, you know, and so, you know.
I'm saying women are safe around you.
Yeah.
Bad men are not. But that's what makes you even safer for women.
Yeah. I mean, that's, you know, and, you know, but the reason I'm saying that is for, again, this music is there and the lyrics are there. And like I said, I don't judge these people, because I'd much rather them explore the dark recesses of their heart through art, and somehow reconcile themselves to themselves and hyperbolize the logical ramifications, even if they go, well, I'm still going to say the sky's empty, Vin, whatever. But they can at least put in some fictitious barriers to rethink some things and question some things and say,
yeah,
where is this energy coming from?
Right. And a
Because-
precautionary tale to see like where those mindsets led to.
And like I said, Vermilion is a massively huge song in metal, and women love that song because it's melodic. And you weren't against the song. I mean, go back and look at the Vermilion reviews. You weren't horrified. So, this is just the most extreme version of that. And I say a lot of times, a lot of this shit is on a scale. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we're seeing with the Kanye West situation and even so I mean we could go forever and ever with this stuff, but my point is, if you're listening to this music, you're drawn to this kind of music, I don't think it means you're a hopeless case and that you're the worst being on the planet. I would commend you to explore that shit about yourself in an observatory way that doesn't judge or celebrate it, so that you could be the person that you want to be. So it's a silent count for me.
Yeah, definitely for me as well.
Okay. All right. There you are, dear listener. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone.